SeniorLivingGuide.com podcast discusses topics which are relevant to the everyday lives of seniors and their caregivers. We are joined by experts who share their knowledge on a variety of issues. SeniorLivingGuide.com podcast offers solutions and resources to create the best quality of life as we age. And now, let's welcome your host, Darlene Mahoney.
Does the idea of searching for senior housing solutions seem overwhelming and you aren't even sure where to begin? SeniorLivingGuide.com is created just for you. We make your senior housing search, home care, home health, as well as many senior resources available to you right at your fingertips in one easy-to-navigate website, allowing you to decide what best fits your needs and budget, connecting you directly and exactly how you would like to connect. And I would like to express our gratitude to our podcast sponsor, Terabella Senior Living, where seniors unlock a richer, more rewarding lifestyle for assisted living and memory care in a warm, welcoming environment. Schedule a tour today. Today, we welcome Jody Epstein. She is a senior real estate specialist with Windermere Real Estate located in the Seattle metro area, and she has 20 years experience. Jody likes to help older adults and their families make smooth, stress-free moves into their next chapters. Her passion is making sure every client feels supported, not just with selling a home, but with the entire transition. Thank you for joining us today, Jody.
Thank you for having me, Darlene.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm excited to kind of dig into this because we're going to talk not just about selling a home, but potentially buying a home.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, for older adults and some of the decisions, because as we know, buying and selling homes as an older adult is different than when you're a new family starting out and you're buying your very first home.
That's right. There's absolutely a lot more options that were not considered previously that need to be looked at now, and there's more people involved usually in the decision process.
Yeah, for sure. So tell us a little bit about some of the first things that you think about in your years of experience in working specifically with older adults and their families that's not just transactional.
I think emotion is a big part of a move for anybody, but it's even harder sometimes or more important to seniors. Oftentimes I'm working with clients who are moving out of a home that was a cherished home where they raised a family, or they lived with their partner, their loved ones. And there's 30 odd years of memories there that are collected that are very hard to part with. So what I help my clients with is we look to identify what the emotional attachment is. And there are things that they should absolutely bring with them wherever they're going if they're making a downsize. But there's also other things that they can give new life to and give to new people who could get good use out of them and continue that. So to pass something on and have it, as opposed to going to a landfill, I like to help people find a way to repurpose something and give it new life.
I like that idea. Yeah. So you're passing on that love, that tradition, that connection that they maybe have with someone, with something, to someone to build that next generation of connection and love.
Absolutely. I think when things are so precious, you want to see them continue to be cared for by somebody else. And if they are no longer bringing that same value, that same connection that they once had, let's let it do it for somebody else. And people really like that idea. And it's much nicer than thinking of things just going to the garbage.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially if it's going to like a family member or loved one. I remember my grandmother saying to me for years, she died in her late 90s. But even when she was in her 70s, my grandmother was very healthy. She was just one of these people, go, go, go all the way till the end. She would say, put your sticker on it, put your sticker on it. And we were like, no, we're not going to put our sticker on it. And nobody did the sticker thing. But when it came time to I don't want to say divvy up her things, but it was all done very nicely. And she was a part of that. And she would tell stories, this is, a travel that she experienced because she did enjoy traveling. And then my grandfather was in the war and some different things. So she was able to provide some of these things within her home that were precious to her. and attach a story to it. So
That
it
is really
means more to
special.
us. Yes.
That
So it
is
was
really
able,
special. I do
yeah,
encourage my clients to do that with their loved ones and their friends earlier rather than later, because
yeah.
that's the opportunity to pass on those stories that you might just forget about and not take the time to sit down and discuss. But as you're going
Hmm.
through things, you really get to understand more about the person and their background and where they came from and why something holds value to them. And it's just a great time to connect and to pass on traditions and whatnot.
Yeah. And you appreciate it more than if you just put your sticker on it and you get it at the end.
Absolutely. And also it's nice to have that involvement with the family and not just leave it to them to figure out.
Yeah.
Your intentions are known and what's behind the intentions is understood.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. So when you're talking to them and they're making some of these decisions, do you kind of go through with different places they could maybe donate that would benefit? If it's not something that's like a precious item, it's just a useful item. Because sometimes, you have things that just aren't going to fit in a smaller space, but they're not particularly, they may have sentimental meaning to them because it's the dining room table they've had for 15 years. But in all honesty, maybe someone in the family or what have you, it's not going to fit their style or, it's just not a needed item in someone's home. But, kind of finding where it might be most useful, not necessarily as like a cherished memory, but something that's really needed.
Absolutely. So part of being a senior real estate specialist is I have an entire network of people I'm working with that are involved in senior moving. So there are
Yeah.
specifically senior movers who help the folks go through this, go through everything, and I work with them. And we have organizations that will come and pick up furniture items like the cherished table. We'll send a photo. They will find another family in need, immediately make use of it. So the donation is picked up and delivered same day. We're looking to get everything into somebody else's home and used. And we have the resources to provide that.
Yeah.
And we're trying to send minimal items to Goodwill and very, very few to the dump.
Yeah, exactly. And see, I think that's what's great about having a senior real estate specialist that specifically works with seniors because they really hone into the needs of the senior and their family versus the transactional part, which is typically, well, not always with real estate specialists. I think that real estate folks in general connect with people, but they don't always understand the needs specifically of seniors because it is very, very unique. Sometimes these seniors are making, a move, as you mentioned, out of that family home they've had for 30 years, 50 years. They've seen weddings there, baby showers, they've raised their children there. And once they make that move, they're never going to be back into that family home. They may be going into an assisted living or they may be going into a different type of care or moving in with family where they're losing that independence. So it's a big emotional journey for them. So being cognizant of that and understanding of that and helping them through that journey is that's a big undertaking.
It is a big undertaking, and that's why I have that whole team behind me. I have the senior movers, the elder care attorneys, we have the CPAs, everybody who's involved and focused on what seniors need.
Mm-hmm.
And once they decide that or they know they need to make the move, there's also 5 different types of homes they might be moving to. And I need to make sure that they understand the differences between those types of homes, as well as the significant people in their life, and making sure that they are fully aware. And if somebody is not, fully aware or needs some assistance, we need to make sure that that loved one is involved and that they have power of attorney and they're able to help to make sure that their needs are met and their wishes are met.
Yeah, because sometimes as we age, the child becomes the parent and the parent becomes the child. And it's a critical time when some of those transitions are taking place. And I, as a daughter, did not like that transition. I never wanted to parent my father. And I'm sure he was not in love with the fact that he was being parented by me, but as he had dementia. So at some point it had to happen. I was uncomfortable with it. But unfortunately, that sometimes has to be the case. So it's really understanding their needs, and that person that's working on the transactional part understands and can connect with the family as well. I think that's a great.
And something else to be considered is not everybody has to move. You can age in place, but there's
Hmm.
also a lot of steps that need to be done to make sure the person is safe and that it's appropriate.
Yeah.
And I personally had been pushing my folks to move to something else. They live in a two-story home with all the full baths and bedrooms upstairs. And for years, I've been saying, you don't need this staircase. This is a very narrow staircase. It's steep. It has me concerned. And by the time my folks were ready to look, unfortunately, COVID hit.
Oh, no.
So we had to move to aging in place, where I put extra banisters in and guardrails and handholds and things like that to make sure they were stable and secure.
Yeah. And then the real estate market changed on a dime during COVID. So what you were looking at pre-COVID and post-COVID are two different real estate markets. So
Absolutely.
at least in most areas, I'm in Florida and it changed very quickly. So what was affordable became completely unaffordable and it still is. So I completely understand that. And aging in place, I'm always an advocate for aging in place. I think, as long as you can stay in your home and have those comforts, I always think to myself, the idea of getting up in the morning and being able to go make your own coffee and in your slippers and your bathrobe and watch the morning news at your will is a luxury that might be taking, might not be as accessible when you get older. Now, there's lots of amazing things that are about senior living communities, but that to me is just it's a home comfort. And that's something that I think you should be able to hold on to if that's something you enjoy for a very long time.
Absolutely. I agree. And what a lot of folks don't think about, there are a lot of people, when it comes time that they need to either age in place or they need to move and have step up care, it's a very emotional decision and it can be a scary decision. A lot of people look at it as, you're sending me someplace or this is where I'm going to pass. No, this is going someplace you're going to live a better life if you're moving. This is all about improving your lifestyle, whether you're at home or elsewhere. And there are so many different communities out there and different types of communities where you can move in. You could have your own kitchen, you could have a balcony, have a view, but you could step outside and there's community and things to do.
Mm-hmm.
I have to tell you, I think almost 100% of the people I've worked with over the years, they were initially maybe resistant, but all of them, once they move into some sort of 55 plus community, wish they had done it sooner.
Yeah.
They really do, whether they're moving directly into independent living or they're going someplace that they know they can graduate to skilled nursing, a continuing
Mm-hmm.
care retirement community. They're just living a better life. There's more to do and they're just active and they're engaged.
Yeah, you just have to find the community that's the right fit for you, that meets the needs that you have, because everybody's got different personalities and different needs. So it is, I think, sitting down and figuring what those are and then finding the community that matches those
Absolutely.
priorities. My mom was a social bug. My mom really would have social. And my dad would have been or was not specifically interested in the social aspect, but he had different aspects of a community and what he would have wanted. He liked the activities. He liked painting. He liked photography. He liked gardening. He liked those different types of things. So having those activities would have been more important to him than the social, where my mom would have been just chitty chatty. My dad would have been like, oh, stop the talking, So two different personalities.
Usually there's so many different style communities that you can move to, but I am certain there's always one that will fit both those styles.
Oh, absolutely. In one spot
In
for
one
sure.
spot.
Yes.
In one spot.
So
Absolutely.
they don't have to live separately. So that would be a good thing. But
Oh, and I've had clients who've elected, because of different health needs even.
Mhm.
Some, where they've moved to a continuing care community where one person might be in skilled nursing and the other is in independent living in the same building.
Right.
And we've had companies come in, they help us, we go through their belongings, and we help pick the furniture that's going to fit into the exact space they're moving into. That is really their cherished pieces that helps make their new space a home to them.
Yeah.
And the couples, sometimes they stay independent, or if hopefully, whoever's in skilled nursing improves, and they're able to go back together and to move into a bigger unit.
Yeah.
And they still have
Exactly.
everything they wanted.
Exactly. exactly. So when you're talking through folks and you've gone through the whole emotional, so when you're talking about like you have to be careful with the money side because sometimes seniors they don't have the disposable income necessarily that maybe younger people do, and not that even younger people have as much, but they sometimes younger people they have the ability to grow their incomes because the ability to get higher degrees, get promoted in jobs, get those raises. But sometimes seniors they have what they've earned, they've had what they've put aside for many, many years, and then they have their Social Security. So they have a very set amount of money for what needs to last them consistently. They can't go out and get a job and, promote their income to increase their income,
Right.
I should say. So you have to really be cognizant of the bottom line and how much they can spend. So is that something that as a real estate specialist working with older adults, is that something you really consider when you're looking at buying and buying a new home for them or moving them forward and then also selling their homes?
Absolutely. You know, buying or selling a property is pretty much always the largest financial transaction of somebody's
Yeah.
life. And for the seniors, this is their retirement. This is what's taking care of them. So, first and foremost, I make sure they're working with a financial advisor or a CPA that's aware of senior needs. They need to have somebody who is looking at all the financial considerations for them. When they look to sell a property, there's several factors. One is market timing, working with a broker who understands when the time is to sell, and working with a seasoned broker. A lot I've seen a lot of folks looking to go to a discount broker, a 1% broker might sound cheaper, but a seasoned full service broker often, almost always nets clients tens of thousands more by marketing the property correctly. It makes a huge difference. The seniors, they need every dollar that they're going to have to stretch them through their retirement, and losing even 5% of that potential means fewer care options down the road. And we want to preserve that. We don't want that happening.
Yeah.
So I want them working with somebody to help them plan ahead for taxes, proceeds allocation, and all their future housing costs. We don't want any financial surprises. I don't want somebody calling me in a few years saying they need to move, they can't afford it. That's happened. I have not done my job right. So we got to look beyond the numbers, knowing the home was sold at top dollar and at fair value, reducing stress for them, and finding the community that has the right program for them. There are so many different styles of and financial models in the 55 plus communities that we need to make sure we understand fully where the clients are and what their health looks like and what they're going to be needing in the future. We can't have blinders on.
At Terra Bella Senior Living, seniors unlock a richer, more rewarding lifestyle for assisted living and memory care, offering daily activities, home-style dining, and 24-hour care in a warm, welcoming environment. Tour today to see the comfort and care we offer at Terra Bella.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people looking at senior living don't always realize that. They think there's potentially just the 55 apartments, which is apartment living for 55 seniors. And I know that especially in the state of Florida, it seems like there is quite a few is a 55 plus more manufactured living communities.
Sure.
There's quite a few of those, which you pay rent. You buy the actual home and then you pay rent on the property, which also includes the community fees. So that's something that's very big in this state in particular. I'm sure that they're in other states as well. So there's different options. And then clearly, the CCRCs, life plan type communities. And a lot of people are very uneducated on those. They don't really understand those. And those can be incredible fits as people are aging. And some of those have, cottages. They have, what do you call them? Duplexes that are in like little communities. They are in their own community, separate from any type of apartment living or assisted living, but they have a lot of the benefits of community and dining and activities and pickleball and all the things that you need to do to enjoy the company of your neighbor and not have to travel very far. So there's so many different things that are available.
Absolutely. I always think The CCRCs are probably one of the best options for people just because it is all encompassing. And,
Mm-hmm.
usually people start looking, they say, well, I'm in great health. I don't need that. True, you might not need it now, but we need to look 5 years ahead and 10 years ahead. We're not just looking at the next 2 years.
Yeah.
So depending on where you are in life and, sitting down and having an honest talk with your doctor, knowing what your health is like, that may be the right choice. If you're, in the right around 55 and just starting out, independent living might be a great option. And there's many that have, the great HOAs where they're taking care of your property. They have the clubhouse, they have the pickleball court, the swimming pool. They'll take you into town to go to the opera, to go to plays, take you grocery shopping, or but you still have your own garage. You can do it on your own.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I do want to clarify for our listeners, because sometimes I know that I do this, and I talk about this on occasion. We'll use what I call industry term. So for our listeners, they may be going, what is a CCRC? So it is a continuing care retirement community. So in essence, do you want to share what that is? What that means?
So a CCRC is a comprehensive community offering multiple levels of care all on one campus. So you'll have independent living designed for active, self-sufficient seniors who want freedom from home maintenance. You'll have assisted living that usually offers housing, meals, and help with activities. And you could have specialized care as needed, like dressing, bathing, if somebody needed that. Usually a CCRC will have a memory care facility, so works with people that have different forms of dementia. And then there's skilled nursing, which provides 24/7 access to rehabilitation care for folks and people with serious health issues. Yeah, so it really is all encompassing.
Yes, and a lot of the residents start out on the 55 plus on the independent side, and through the years they may need additional levels of care. And as they age, they just graduate into the different levels of care if needed. So that is something that, so you don't have to make those additional moves, because sometimes when you move into an independent, then if you need additional care, you have to pack your bags again and you have to move. So and you're moving to a community, maybe across town or a totally different, something completely different. It just kind of keeps you in the same area, the same campus, where you're not making these big extraordinary moves, and it's keeping you more in that
Your
home.
community.
Yeah, in your community. So you're not making big moves within, yeah.
Absolutely. And there is, of course, the other option for folks who really prefer independent living, and that the concept of it is make sure you're buying a place that's large enough where you could have in-home care.
Mm-hmm.
And then simply, a lot of people prefer that. So they move into a 55 plus independent community that's 2 or 3 bedrooms, and they have a space so they could have an at-home caretaker when the time comes.
Yeah. Yeah.
When it comes to lifestyle, it's really important for folks to just be honest about what is most important to them. Is it the community? Is it amenities, safety, proximity to healthcare, to family? Really, we want to sit down and kind of really nail that on the head.
Yeah. Yeah. And, another thing that is becoming really popular, at least around some areas in this state, and then even in another state that I have another client in, is intergenerational housing, where in their neighborhoods where it's specifically intergenerational housing, where the main house is the larger home is typically the children's home with the grandchildren, and then there's a connecting home in the back that is the mother-in-law or grandparents or in-law suite or what have you, a 55 plus, and all the homes are like that. So you have connecting for families, and then you have community as well for each of those homes in the back that have, the connecting social life, because each of those intergenerational homes has someone at the age of 55 plus that's living in them. I think that's an incredible idea. So
it is. And what we're seeing in the Pacific Northwest is, well, with the housing shortage that we've been having,
Mm-hmm.
and the price is going up. We're seeing zoning laws change where we're getting more additional dwelling units, either attached or detached, being allowed on the properties. And we are seeing more people in the 55 plus community move back into their small, tiny house
Yeah.
adjacent or attached to their children's home.
Yeah. And I will
That's
tell
very
you,
common.
as I get older, I realize I don't need stuff. And the idea of a smaller environment just is less stressful.
It is.
Yes.
It's less stressful to have less things
Yeah.
and to have somebody else managing the home, the building, wherever you are.
Yeah.
I look at some of these 55 plus communities and I'm just a few years away, but I'm ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
I'm just
really offer a
thinking,
great lifestyle.
yeah, I just put a fork in it. I don't want to worry about it anymore. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Give me one bathroom to clean and be done.
And I
So,
do think, it's important to get your family involved and decide, do we want to live back or how close to family do you want to be? Do they
yeah.
want you in the backyard? Are you coming home over every day for dinner? Or do they want you in the same town? I mean, where you have your independence and you can come over and see them anytime. So it's like, talking with your family and looking at timing and planning. Don't wait for a crisis. That's the worst thing.
Mhm.
If it happens, it happens. But this. I hate it for my clients working with somebody who's moving because they're being forced to. They have to. Something happened with their health, and they're under the gun to make a decision. It's not fun.
No, and I do think just from my experience, a lot of times when that's the case, then you make a decision based on the crisis. And so you end up making another move not that long after because you did it in a rush and then you really start finding you really would have preferred something different.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. But sometimes those crises are really, really hard to avoid.
What
So,
it comes down to, we've been talking a lot about this, is rarely is there one size fits all for everybody, whether
mhm.
for your father, your mother, or for the individual and wherever they live. And what most people don't realize is they should be working with a senior real estate specialist because that person is to be tapped into all those different options in their community.
Yeah.
So like I have people who are relocating. I'm helping clients right now. They're relocating near their kids, moving to
Mhm.
Colorado. I've connected them with a senior real estate specialist there. I'm going to help them downsize and sell their property. And SRES in Colorado will help them find their new home because they're going to meet with them and identify their needs and talk with the family there. You really want to work with an SRES because they're tuned in to all the options that are out there.
Yeah. No, I think that's exactly perfect because you help with literally everything. You help with the downsizing, you help with the moving, you help with everything in between that's senior specific, senior related. So why
Yes.
not take advantage of that? Because it doesn't hurt to look into that specifically and it is available. So why would you not take advantage of that for sure?
Right. And especially on the moving side, when you're selling a property, people are eager to get to their next home.
Mhm.
So I'm there to come in with the companies that I'm coming with the move managers. I come in with the stagers, but most importantly, I come in with the contractors and the resources to say, okay, let's do this work. Let's put $40,000 into the property, Mr. Seller, and you're going to realize another 100,000 out of that when you sell. Let's maximize what you can earn so you have that money in your retirement portfolio.
Yeah. So I do have a quick question for you. If people are not in your area and they're on the other coast or what have you, and they think, okay, I really want to look into this. This is really a good option for me. When they're looking into hiring a senior real estate specialist, what should they look for as far as making sure they're getting one that's got good credentials, someone they can trust? Are there specific criteria that you recommend that they really look at before pursuing that?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, they should have a certification. It's a senior
Okay.
real estate specialist certification. So look for that. And once you find one or two brokers with that, and you can call any brokerage, ask for the managing broker and say, who is your SRES?
Okay.
Who's done the most sales in Boulder? Who's done the most sales in Boca Raton? And then look at what their sales are. Ask them for their referrals. talk to them. Who are your clients? Were you working mostly with the children? Were you working with sellers? Working with buyers? What are the communities you've partnered with and have relationships with? And
Very
hopefully they should
good.
have a lot of that information on their website.
Very good. I like the list. I think everybody needs to re-listen to this podcast if they missed it the first time and write all those bullet point questions down and get those out when you're starting to interview, because you really should interview your real estate agent.
Absolutely. It's like we've said, it's one of the biggest financial transactions, if not the biggest, is the most important. And you want to make sure you're not just jumping in with somebody who may be very eager, may be very good, but you want to have somebody who's already has those connections and those resources.
Yeah. And referrals, I mean, to me, that is it. I mean, you get some referrals from folks and get that feedback. That's where you're going to be able to really make the best decision. But also definitely 100%, just like going to a doctor, going to an attorney, make sure there's a certification, make sure that they're certified. So yeah, don't just take anyone's word for it. So we're living in a crazy age. So you definitely have to make sure.
If they don't have anything about their senior specialty on their website, then that's not their specialty.
That is a good point made. They could be a real estate agent, but they're not a senior specialist.
Real estate specialist.
So that is a completely different ball of wax. And we're going to put some links on the description as well for definitely your real estate for Windermere, for your link specifically. Do you want to share what that is?
Sure. Yeah. So my business is Jody in the House. Jody.
I like it. I like it. Jody in the House.
And if you go to jodyinthehouse.com, you can find a link for seniors. Okay. So if you click there where it says senior specialist, I have senior resources and the senior specialist certification and information on what that means to be a senior specialist.
Perfect. Okay. And you are serving the Seattle, Washington area. So anyone that's listening to this podcast, connect with Jody. If you're looking at buying, selling, or working with a parent or a loved one that's an older adult, or you do regular real estate as well?
Absolutely.
So just real estate in general. So that's perfect. So, well, this was a great podcast. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you'd like to mention before we sign off?
I think we covered most of the important topics. The biggest thing is preparation, planning ahead. I mean, because it takes a lot of time, and I mean, that specialist who can help you prepare and put together the timelines. I mean, I start with people sometimes a year in advance because it takes time and you don't want to be rushed.
Yeah.
Planning.
I have moved multiple times. I was a military spouse, and I can tell you, I had it down pat for quite a while, but it's a nightmare. It is so much work. It's exhausting. And the idea of continuing to live that lifestyle. There's a reason why people get out after 20 plus years, because just the moving in general is just like, shoot me now.
I get it.
Every 3 years, boxing it up and moving it. And we were blessed the fact that movers came and did it, but you're still doing all the work on the front end, the back end, still setting up, where you're going to live, buying a home, if that's what you're going to do at your next step. Your next spot or whatever, because that would happen on occasion, just depending, it's just craziness. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a tumultuous time. Yeah.
So the biggest thing to remember is you're in the driver's seat. The brokers are working for you. So ask the questions that you need to ask and make sure you're getting what you need out of the relationship.
I like that. They're working for you. Exactly.
Absolutely. They're navigating. We're just here guiding the boat.
There you go. There you go. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Jody. This was such a great podcast. I actually really learned a lot. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Darlene.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you everyone for listening to this podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast, we have over 100 podcast episodes. We're available anywhere you enjoy music or podcasts, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, all kinds of different places. Thank you for listening.